Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make the Southwest poncho. This is an easy project, and although I've crocheted it in more fall colors, feel free to use maybe winter whites and blues, or perhaps even your school sports colors or your favorite team colors for this project. And I did trim it with lovely fringe. Well, let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using 4 different colors, and I'll show you the specifics on this yarn in just a second. But for the record, this is the brown, and it is color 1, and then the second color, color 2, color 3, and color number 4. Let's go ahead and look at the stats on this. This is Barocco Vintage, a machine washable blend, and the makeup of this is 52% acrylic, 40% wool, 80% nylon. This is a medium or worsted or Aran weight yarn. Now, for the record though, this is on the thinner side. It's still a number 4, but it is a thinner number 4. So I just wanted to make mention of that. In each of these hanks, there is 218 yards or 200 meters, 3.5 ounces or 100 grams. I will be using a size I or 9 or 5.50 millimeter crochet hook, but as always, choose the hook that you need to reach gauge. If you need to upsize or downsize your hook in order to get the gauge that I am getting, please make that adjustment early on so that the poncho will look lovely and fit you very well. Okay, so I'm also recommending that you have a yarn needle and a pair of sharp scissors handy. To begin, I'm going to be using color number 1, which is the brown color, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to make a starting chain of 113 chains. For row number 1, we're going to start in the 4th chain from hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to work a double crochet in that chain and in each chain all the way across the row. At the end of this row, you should have 110 double crochets, and that is not including the chain 3 at the beginning. So go ahead and work those 110 double crochets. We are simply going to chain 2 at the beginning of the row, and we're going to single crochet in each stitch across. Notice that I am crocheting in the very first stitch of the row, so we are going to just do that, working through the top loops of each stitch all the way across, and we should have still the same stitch count. The stitch count actually should remain the same throughout, and that would be 110 double crochets. So go ahead and complete row number 2. Now I want to work the last stitch of row 2 with you, and this is why. We are not going to work in the turning chain in this particular row, but what we're going to do is we're going to work in that last stitch. We're going to complete half of the stitch, and for the next half we're going to bring in our color number 2 and do just like that. And we're going to chain 2, and now I'm going to go ahead and trim the brown with my scissors. There we go. Now I am going to go ahead and knot my yarn. Yes, I am a knotty crocheter, I-K-N-O-T-T-Y. So for row number 3, I've already crocheted the 2 chains when we connected the yarn, and now I'm going to double crochet in the first 5 stitches. Okay, so now after we've done that, this is where the fun begins. We're going to double wrap our hook for a front post treble.
But what we're going to do is we're going to work it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this will be in this stitch right here, which is 6 double crochets from the end. Okay, and it's actually the next stitch. So if we go down, we're going down 1, 2 rows, and we're going to work a front post treble. Now we're going to skip the next stitch behind this treble, and then we're going to work a double crochet in that next stitch. So when I said skip a stitch, let me show you again. We're not going to be losing any stitches across because this stitch, which the front post is crocheted down here, replaces the stitch that we skip on the current row. Okay, now we're going to do that again. We're going to skip the next stitch down here, and over this stitch we're going to make a front post treble. Again, skipping this stitch, which is the next stitch on the current row, and then we're gonna, whoops, let's go ahead and wrap the hook first, a double crochet in the next stitch, and then one more, skip this stitch, front post treble, and then we're going to skip this next stitch on the current row. Again, this stitch replaces it, and then we're going to work 5 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, now I'm going to take a pause here and try to show you again what we have done. We have 5 stitches, the first 5 stitches, front post treble crochet, and it's not the 1 row down, but it's 2 rows down, and then a double crochet, front post treble, double crochet, front post treble. And when we look at the back side, you can see for each of these trebles I skipped a stitch here, here, and here, but the stitch count is still going to remain 110 stitches all the way across the row. And let me do this for you again. This is the repeat all the way across. Now I know that the next stitch is going to be here, but in case you are doubting, have any doubts as to where to begin the next one, count 5 stitches on the row where you are wrapping the trebles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so it's the next stitch right here. And again, skip the stitch behind the treble, double crochet, and skip the next stitch down here for the front post treble, skip the stitch behind that treble, and then one more treble crochet, again skipping this next stitch, and then skip this stitch, and then 5 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, let's just pause. I just want to be very clear. I know this yarn down here is dark, but the other colors that we will be using are going to be brilliant against this black background. So this is why I want to make sure that you can see what I am doing here. Okay. And we're just going to repeat this across the row, and I will show you how this row ends. At the end of this row, I have worked the treble, double treble, or front post treble I should say, double crochet, front post treble, and you're going to work that last stitch in the turning chain and work a double crochet. Now I did say there would be 110 stitches. Well, maybe I lied. There's going to be 111 stitches at the end of this row. So please forgive me for that, but I am giving you this accurate stitch count. And go ahead and double crochet in each stitch all the way across the row. So that's all you need to do. At the end of row 4, I have half completed that last stitch, and I am just going to pull in color number 3, which is this lovely, lovely teal color. And I'm going to chain 2. Now I'm also going to take care of this rust or copper color and go ahead and make my knot. And when I close in this knot, I do push it to the very edge. And I'm not worried about these knots showing because I am going to be working perimeter rounds around each of these panels, so I know they are going to be well hidden. All right, so now we're ready for row number 5. For row number 5, we're going to make a row again with the trebles, but it's going to alternate in between the trebles that we've already made. So for this, we're going to skip the first stitch and we are going to work our treble. Now notice that I am not working around the turning chain, but I am working around that double crochet 2 rows down and then double crochet in the next stitch and skipping this stitch, treble crochet around that next stitch, and then again skipping the stitch on the current row here, and then work in the next stitch for that double crochet. And hopefully you can see the colors much better now. And I'll skip this stitch, front post treble in that stitch, and again skip the stitch on the current row and double crochet in each of the next 5 stitches. Now, after we've done that, it's time to repeat that all the way across the row. Front post treble, and you can see it's a lot easier to see where to work these trebles because they're in between these 2 sections down here. Now do be sure that you are skipping a stitch for the treble crochets. It's very easy to get off on your stitch count by not doing that. Skip this stitch, front post treble in that next stitch, double crochet, and then front post treble, and then we work double crochets in each of the next 5 stitches. And this is going to be the repeat all the way across the row. Let me just take a pause and let you get a good look at how this starts. Okay, so we're going to work this all the way across, and when we get to the end of the row, we're going to end with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to end with 6 stitches because we are going to work in the chain 2. But I'll show that to you at the end. The last stitch of the row is worked in the top of the last double crochet, and you should have again a total of 111 stitches all the way across. All right, now I have one more row to show you before I give you an assignment. We're just going to chain 2, and this is for row number 6. We're just going to double crochet. Remember to start in that very first of the row, double crochet in each stitch all the way across the row. At the end of row 6, we're going to bring in color number 4, which is this lovely red color. And again, give it a chain 2. And I'm going to go ahead and trim the blue color. And once again, tie my knot very carefully. Just like that. And now let's turn and take a look at what we have. Okay, we've completed 6 rows. So what we're going to do from this point on is we're going to repeat rows 3, 4, 5, and 6 over and over again until we get a total of 5 color repeats of colors 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm going to show you an example in just a second. So we're just going to repeat this until we have 5 repetitions of all of the colors. And let me show you what this looks like. So this is what I'm talking about. We start down here. So we have color 1, color 2, color 3, color 4. Okay, that's one repeat. And then we have another repeat, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to work that until we have a total of 5 repeats of all of these colors. So this will be a total of 40 rows once you complete this. You can just see the lovely pattern that this makes. So go ahead and work those 40 rows. After repeating the 4 colors, this is what you should have. Now I'm going to work the perimeter around, which is going to go around each side of the panel. And I'm just going to pull that last stitch out so I can do my color change to color number 1 again, or really any color you prefer. Well, I'm going to chain 1, and let's go ahead and I'm going to deal with this yarn here. Okay, now that I've completed that color change and I've secured the yarn, it's time for us to go ahead and start our single crochets. And we are just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way across. This is working in the row that we just completed. And let me also show you that you should have the front side of your work facing. As you work this across, I think the front side of the single crochet just looks much neater than the back side when trimming items like this. So I'm going to go ahead and work to the next corner. After working all the way across to the first corner, we're going to turn 90 degrees, chain 2, and we're going to single crochet in that same place where that last single crochet was made. Now going forward, what I have found to be a very good multiple along the row ends is to work 3 single crochets evenly for each 2 rows. And that's exactly what I've done, and that is also going to represent my stitch count. So I'm going to have 3 stitches for every color segment you see, plus 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end of the side. So I'll go ahead and I'll put the numbers down there with the one that I'm working. I don't have it off the top of my head right now. So 1, 2, 3 single crochets along that red section, and then the next 2 rows I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 single crochets along the edge with the blue, and then skip over 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead and get that in the right place. I'm just working along this side so you can see how nice that looks. Go ahead and work this all the way to the next corner. After working this all the way across the row ends and working 3 single crochets for each color of the 2 row stripes, go ahead and work an additional one in that very last stitch there, chain 2, and then another single crochet in that same place after we've turned 90 degrees to form a corner. And what we're going to do here is just work 1 single crochet in each chain across the row. You're working just the opposite where the other chains. Let me go ahead and let the camera focus on that very carefully. I know the background is a little on the darker side. Okay, so we are just going in there. If you're not sure where to place your hook, find where the stitch was worked during that foundation row and just go opposite the stitch, just like that. So go ahead and work that all the way across. When you get to the corner, again, you're going to crochet a single crochet in that last stitch, chain 2, and then turn, again to work along the row ends. And we're going to do the same, just work 3 single crochets for each color stripe on that row end. Just for the sake of clarity, after I've worked across the foundation chain, I have also worked one in that turning chain, and I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to work another one in the same place, and that's going to be one of the 3 single crochets that I work in those in that 2-row repeat. And I'm going to go ahead and continue. Now I am working along the side now that has all the strands. I'm going to hide them once I complete this round. So go ahead and just try to work around these. I mean, unless you prefer to hide them beforehand, but I think by doing it this way, I'm going to have more places to hide these. But I need to just be very careful that I only do 3 stitches over each of these color sections, just like so. So go ahead and continue that along that final edge. So now I have worked this all the way across. On this other side where all the strands need to be hidden, and I'm going to work, I've worked 1, 2, 3 over these last 2 rows, but I'm going to work one final stitch in the same place where that last single, or actually where the first single crochet was worked. So we're going to work that single crochet, chain 2, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch of the round, and then go ahead and give it a chain and a tug and fasten off. And so now we have our panel completed. Now we are officially close to halfway finished. So what we need to do now is make one more panel the exact same way, and then I'll show you how to put these together. Now I want to show you how to hide all of those loose strands. I'm showing you the back side where I've hidden many, and if you look for them real closely, you can see them. However, that is the back side, and this is the front side. Let me show you how I did this. Now, if you have another method, you are free to use whatever method you would like. All right, but I am just really doing kind of a quicker way about doing this, but I'm pretty confident that these are not going to come undone or show underneath what I'm doing here. I'm hiding them on the back side of the stitch. You don't want to hide these on the front side or they will definitely show. And I am running them under the stitches here. And by doing it afterwards, you're not going to have to worry about the stitches, being larger because you're crocheting over the strands. Okay, let's go ahead and do that, and then give it a pull, and I'm going to try to just work it over that knot just a little bit. Okay, now after I've pulled it through, now I'm also tugging back so that if there's any loose yarn, it's not going to pull back after I've put this together. And cut very close, but don't cut your stitches. Make sure that you don't cut the crochet at that point. And then I just have one more set here I'm going to hide. And again, threading. Just go ahead and thread them both into the needle. And I'm just going to run these underneath that perimeter round. Just like that. And pull that through. And I'm going to make sure that knot is covered. There we go. And then again, give it a gentle pull back so that it'll just look neater and you won't see the frayed ends nearly as much. Okay, so now we have all of our ends hidden. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put this together. Let's just take a look. This is the edge where I've hidden all of those strands, and you can see they have disappeared for us.
Okay, now we have 2 panels that look like this. And the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take one of the panels and we're going to face it down like this, and we're going to fold it just like this. Okay, lay it flat, and we're going to do that again with our second panel, and we're going to place it the opposite, and I will show you what this looks like. Okay, so we take our first panel, put the front side down, and it should be like this. So this is the front side, this is the back side, and we have it folded over just like this. We're going to take the other panel and we're going to lay it right on top of the other. Let me go ahead and bring that up a little bit. There we go. So what we're going to do is this going to lay right like this, and this portion here is going to fold under, and then we're going to fold it like this. And what will happen is we are going to connect the seam here, and if you have clips, you can clip these together, and when you crochet this together, we're going to crochet this using a slip stitch, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a bit. When you do this, it's going to be stitch by stitch. Okay, now I'm going to carefully turn this over to the other side, and this is the back side, and there will be another seam just like it, and you will slip stitch this together, starting in the chain 2 turning chains all the way until the chain 2 turning chain of the top, and then this will be forming the neckline, and then this should be a very good shape. Right down here you have the corner. I'll turn it like this, corner of the poncho down here, and then the top will be shaped just like this. So now comes the fun part of putting these panels together, and let me show you how we're going to do that. Okay, now we're ready to begin slip stitching these together, but let me make some other things very clear as well. I am going to be constructing mine with the color number 1 up top, and this is where the actually a little bit tighter side where the chain was worked, the foundation chain. I'm choosing to have this up at the top, and the more freer end down at the bottom. I think this is going to be much nicer to have this where the fringe will attach, and it'll be a little more free flowing. Okay, so now we have these sides lined up like I showed you earlier. Now what we need to do is we need to have the front side, the front sides are going to come together and face one another. So I'm going to bring this to the side. So do make sure that you have this set up just the way you want to. And so what I'm going to do, I have the front sides together, and I have the corner here, the chain 2 corners, and I am going to slip stitch. This is hard to see, that's why I showed you earlier in the diagram, and there is a diagram also in the written pattern that will show you how these are folded together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join with a slip stitch. Let me go ahead, and I'm going to get my yarn. Let's go ahead and see if I can do this. And I'm going to put it into the chain 2 corners, just like this. So now to begin, we simply make our slip knot. And again, I have them through both of the chain 2 corners, pull it through. I'm going to give it a chain, and then starting in the first stitch, I'm going to go through 2 stitches, and then the top 2 stitches of the adjoining panel, and do slip stitch. Make sure you do this not too tightly. Okay, so make sure that your tension is on the loose side. Otherwise, it will be too tight of a seam. So you don't want it to be too loosey-goosey, but you also don't want it to be, you know, super tight. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going through both loops, slip
stitch. And I'm lining it up stitch by stitch. I'm going to work this all the way across until I get to the next chain 2 corner. Okay, you can see how this looks. This again is with the back side facing. As I'm nearing the end with this chain 2 a coming here, let me just show you the last couple of stitches. Slip stitch, and then the last one will be right here, worked in that chain 2 space of one of the panels, and then give it a chain and a tug, and let's clip a nice long strand so that we can definitely hide that loose strand in just a second. But let's take a look at this seam. Again, this is with the wrong side, so you're going to see a little bit of yarns poking out, but again, this is the part that nobody's going to see. So you can see how that looks on this side, and let's flip it around and see what it's going to look like with the front side facing. And see how nice that blends in. And if you don't like the bump there, you can easily just wet this and block it a little bit, and that will even this out considerably, make it, you know, flat with the rest of the fabric. Okay, so now we are one seam down, one more to go. Okay, now I have lined up the 2 corners with the chain 2s for the second seam. Do make sure that as you get ready to complete this second seam that you have joined these in the correct way, so that, let me go ahead and just connect these two with my hook a second, so that when you finish it looks like this, you know, so that you have, you know, the collar section like this. You just be careful that you don't crochet the wrong seams together, but you know what, even if you do, it's easy just to rip it out and try again. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this second seam, and then I will show you how to add fringe. Now I'm going to give you a very quick tutorial on how to cut fringe. And all I really need to do this is either a book or something firm like a piece of cardboard. I like using old books. I'm also very careful with them. But you need just something that you can wrap yarn around consistently. And you also are going to need a pair of sharp scissors. Now, again, this is just one method of doing this. But let me go ahead and show just a quick demonstration. I also have a video that I'll link in the video description below if you need more details. So I'm holding the yarn just like this, and I'm going to wrap the yarn gently. I'm not wrapping it really tightly, but you can see just wrapping it like so. And especially if you're using a wool or any kind of a stretchy yarn, you do not want to pull the yarn really tight. So you can wrap this just any number of times. You are going to be needing a lot of fringe. And you can see I've chosen the dark chocolate color. And then once you've wrapped it around the book, you're going to need a pretty sharp pair of scissors. And go ahead and you simply cut the yarn like this, and then now you have a lot of fringe. Now I should have mentioned before too that these pieces of fringe are approximately 10 inches long, so when you fold it, we're going to have about 5 inches of fringe along the bottom. So what you want to do before you get started is, when you're looking at your old books, is find, you know, estimate, in the way you would do this is measure the book this way and then go around the binding. So you can see this one is approximately 5.5 inches or so, which gives me a little bit of leeway to cut or trim the fringe should I need to, although I probably am not going to have to bother with that. Okay, so, and again, if you want longer fringe, you can just, you know, make the fringe longer, and if you want shorter, you can certainly do that. Well, let me now show you how to connect the fringe to the bottom of the poncho. Okay, so I have my poncho. It's all connected. And again, that seam will kind of flatten out once I do a little bit of blocking, or actually just wear it a few times. That seam is going to disappear. So now we have the bottom side of the poncho, and we're going to take one strand at a time. And what I like to do is put the ends together like this, and then put my finger in the center, and then I like to hold the yarn with my hand. You can tell I've done this a few times. And I like to have the front side of the poncho facing me as I attach this. I'm going to go ahead and attach the first one in the chain 2 space, just like this. Pull it through, yarn over, and then pull through, and then give it a little tug. Let's go ahead and do another. We're going to line up the ends just like that, and you see I'm holding it like so, and we go in the next space right here, the next stitch, over the hook, pull it through, both strands over, and pull it through our work. And there is a definite right side and wrong side to how the fringe looks. You can see, I'll try to bring it a little bit closer. And a word about the color of the fringe that you select. You want to really be thinking about that before you finish off your poncho. I highly recommend that you use the same color that you use for the border around, or the perimeter around the panels. And I really like the way the fringe is going to match the color around the neckline as well. Okay, so go ahead and finish all of the fringe, putting one strand in each of the stitches all the way around the bottom of the poncho. Now there's one more thing that is an option. You can leave the neckline just the way it is. I think it's absolutely fine, but I'm going to go for a little more of a finishing touch, and I'm going to work a round of slip stitches all the way around this. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to join in one of the corners, again with make a slip knot, and pull that on through, and go ahead and give it a chain. And then starting in the next chain 1 space, I'm going to work a slip stitch, and I'm going to work this in each stitch all the way around the collar. Okay, so I'm going to work that all the way around the collar, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the same place of joining right here, and then I will fasten off. So go ahead and finish that optional round around the collar should you wish.
Well, I hope you enjoyed making the Southwest poncho with me today. If you did, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. God bless. Bye-bye.